The Beast is back. I am dying to know what you guys think about this. What's going on, guys? SummerSlam 2025 Night 2 is in the books, and we just concluded the main event with the return of Brock Lesnar. Not sure how I feel about this. To me, Brock, in my mind, was done the minute he was implemented in that lawsuit. I think it's too dirty and messy of a subject to touch. But, the fact that this company doesn't really seem to give a shit about stuff like this, it was always in the back of my mind that I wouldn't be surprised whenever we saw Brock. Ironically, he wasn't really too much on my radar for this show. He was talked about. His name's come up, but he really wasn't on my radar for a return here. I think a lot of people were focused on The Rock and him potentially coming out, which is what I didn't want to see. But the more the match was going on, the more I thought that WWE was really trying their best to make up for WrestleMania, the terrible main event that we saw there. And Cody and John Cena tonight had a great street fight. This was actually really, really good and much better and far better than what they failed to achieve at WrestleMania 41 in that main event. So the match went great, and then with Cody winning, we had Seth Rollins as the big surprise last night, so you felt like you probably had to turn around and do something similar tonight. I wasn't buying it when Cody won. He left the ring to give Cena his moment. Still trying to wonder in our heads and wonder what the explanation was for John Cena's promo on Friday. Maybe it's just that he's got such little time left. They don't have time to pussyfoot around. If they need to turn him back babyface, it needs to be done in one promo. You can't stretch this out. You got to turn it off, just like that and go back to being a babyface. And I was having trouble wrapping my head around that, until maybe Brock Lesnar came out there at the end and I'm like, oh, okay. So, now John Cena is, going to have all the sympathy from the fans. Brock is going to be the ultimate heel. And I guess this means Brock is going to be, one of John Cena's final opponents, which, I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe that's a Clash in Paris match. Maybe WWE feels they're going to get good audience response from that match. And maybe some of the boos that Brock Lesnar may hear here in the States wouldn't happen over there. Maybe that's what they're setting up for, because John Cena's advertised for all that stuff. So, I don't know. But Cody Rhodes beat John Cena in the street fight. He saw all John Cena's tricks coming. He didn't flinch. He had the killer instinct, and he got it done. And then, of course, John Cena was attacked by a returning Brock Lesnar to close the show. So, last night, I felt like Seth Rollins cashing in kind of saved what was a mediocre SummerSlam Night 1. Tonight I feel like was much better, although they had way too many matches with the same fucking stipulation. Tonight's first 5 matches before you got to the main event was 5 championship matches with 5 heel champions retaining. So you knew we were going to see a title change in that main event. Also, the first 4 matches had no rules. The first one was a triple threat, of course, and then I forgot what the fuck the other one was, the Jacob Solo cage match, of course. And then we had the Becky and Lyra no DQ match, and then we had the TLC match. So all of those matches had no rules. You could do whatever you wanted, and there were way too many of the same type of matches with the same type of finishes, all the way up until AJ and Dominic, which was a standard match, and Dominic, even cheating to win there, but doing so in a marvelous way. So by the time we got to the main event, I felt like with all of these champions retaining, WWE's not only planning a title change here at the end, but maybe something else as well. So I'm not surprised that we got, number one, the title change, but we also got some sort of a surprise. I'm just a little bit turned off about what that surprise turned out to be. I don't personally need Brock Lesnar around. Now that he's back, you have to wonder if this means he has signed a complete new deal, or if he's coming back under the terms that he already was in and finishing up those dates, or if Brock is like, hey, I want to come back and be a part of Cena's retirement and, be a part of that send-off, and maybe I can put him over one last time, or maybe Cena loses to Brock, or I don't know. But, we've already seen Brock there. He's already wrestled and lost all of the top guys in the company currently. He had his program with Cody. He had, 7 or 8 or 9 or 12 WrestleMania matches with Roman Reigns. I don't know what's left for him to do there, and he's such a controversial figure, right now that, bringing him back is, we'll see how it goes. But WWE doesn't seem to care. They're fucking full MAGA at this point. The eviler you are, the more they're fine with it. So it doesn't really surprise me in that regard. But I guess we'll judge it and see what Brock Lesnar is here to do, and if he can change the perception in any way, or if his run is a success, or if the fans chew him up and spit him out. Don't know. But I thought Cody and Cena was an excellent match, and I'm feeling a little bit let down. I'm fine with a surprise. It's just I don't know if I really wanted to see Brock. I don't really need Brock. To me, I didn't even shit my pants when he came out. I was like, that's what it is? Because the more the camera stuck with Cena and the more he was there kind of soaking it in with the audience, the more I was thinking maybe The Rock is pissed that, Cena now lost the title, plus Cena kind of threw a little bit of shade on Friday, so he's coming out to finish the job and execute Cena. I thought maybe we see that. I'd be better. I would have been better off with that than what we got. But I almost feel like Brock coming out at the end kind of ruined what was a great main event, and if that is going to be our final image of John Cena at SummerSlam, his final SummerSlam match, it's a good one. Right down to the entrance, because he came out with the big colorful entrance instead of the black and white because of his promo on Friday. So all of these, final little moments and visuals that we've gotten for John Cena were all tremendous. We didn't need Brock Lesnar coming out at the end of that. That was WWE feeling they got to give us surprises now. They're all about creating those moments. You can tell kind of WWE's, philosophy for TV production and that Unreal show and these moments they want to create, and how all of that shit with Seth Rollins and the heist of the summer is going to be its own episode in WWE Unreal 2, and so will this. And, it's going to be Triple H, it's what we do. So, oh my God. So Brock is back, and now WWE gets to have a post-show without having to answer any questions about, do you think it was a good idea for you to bring him back, considering that a woman was used as a contract negotiating tool. Her body was used as a contract negotiating tool to get this guy to sign. You're all right with that. That's the world we're in, huh? Okay. But they're not going to have to answer a question like that, because now they don't do pressers. Now they don't have to talk to anybody. They can suck themselves off without ever having to answer a difficult question. Isn't that convenient for them? Welcome back, Brock Lesnar. Let's see what you guys have to say before we start getting into the review. There's my initial thoughts. I am happy that Cody, by the way, is WWE champion again. Also, I did not think that we needed to see a double turn or anything like that. I was not buying into that. I never was. Not in the predictions, not in any other podcast we've done. When people bring up the idea of the double turn, I say, no, not yet. Cody Rhodes and who Cody Rhodes is and what he wants his legacy to be, he absolutely is going to turn heel in the near future, but I also think Cody does not want John Cena to retire when they are mortal enemies. I think, at least on screen, they want to have a reconciliation and a mutual respect. That's what Cody wants. He doesn't want to do something, wild and crazy. And so it made sense that Cena and Cody kind of had that moment before the match and after the match. I still wasn't buying it. I thought the whole story was of Friday's promo was for John Cena to try to lull Cody in and take advantage of him again, only this time Cody's not going to flinch like he did last time. And also, he tried to worm his way out of the street fight in that contract signing a couple of weeks ago, so I thought the promo was a way to try to manipulate Cody to take it easy on him, just trying to do dirty little heel and manipulative things to gain an advantage in the match. That's all I thought the promo was, but he remained the babyface all the way till the end, and then took a snot kick in there from Brock Lesnar, and I guess that'll solidify the face turn. So, yeah. Let me just go to the chat here. I'm going to go back to my master list in case I missed any supers. All right, I got that one. Zane G's, thanks for the $2. We are back. Greg, say his name and he appears. Brock Lesnar has appeared. Stone Cold 10X, thank you for the 5. If Cena starts losing all his upcoming matches, then at least you can say he won during the heel turn. Don't want him to just job on the way out. I almost think it would be appropriate if he did, to be honest, because all those years of winning, You know, all those fans that just, Super Cena, all the crying and bitching and moaning and snotting on each other that they did. For him to lose, like his final 6 matches, would be a nice way of, kind of me reiterating that I was right all along about the guy. Ruben Anthony, appreciate the $5. Greg went 6-0. That's true. Oh, yeah, that's right. You are keeping tabs of this, aren't you? Thank you for the update. I sometimes forget about this. Greg went 6-0 at night. 10-2 overall at SummerSlam. This brings his 2025 predictions record to 84-21. Thank you for that, Ruben. That's not a bad percentage. Although 10 of those incorrect ones came at the all-in weekend, mostly in AEW. So I really had a bad percentage. It would really be better than that. I should be about like 90-15. I should be somewhere in there. But instead, I'm 84-21, and we do have a thing going at the end of the year. We are both going to donate to charity, and I forgot what we said we were going to do, a dollar or whatever per win or whatever it was. But whatever you said we were going to do, I'm going to match it, and that's awesome. Thanks for keeping tabs of that. Ruben Anthony. Let's get into the review here, man. We got to get into it. We got to talk about all of it. Do me a favor before we do. Smash that thumbs up button. Get the likes up for us, and I would appreciate that. The show, what was the opening match of the show? They announced the opener on the kickoff, I heard, but some folks were saying that the match order did get leaked earlier on in the day, but I wasn't aware of it. I didn't see it. So I didn't know what the order of the matches were going to be other than the opener when they said it was going to be the women's triple threat. So Naomi defending against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Naomi gets a pretty badass entrance from her father, who was playing a guitar. He's a member of some band. I forget what it's called, but he was playing her theme song down to the ring and was playing her to the ring with his guitar. It was so badass. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky got mostly standard entrances for them. And like I said in the predictions, Naomi just won the championship. And she just lost her program with Jade Cargill. She's kind of recently turned heel, this new character. She just wins the title after a Money in the Bank cash-in, which was, a month ago, if that, whatever it was. So why would you take the belt off of her here? I had her retaining all along, and she did. Now, this match I don't think was quite as good as the triple threat we got at WrestleMania, but it was pretty close. And they continued to tell the story between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. It was even Rhea Ripley who got pinned here. She was the one that ate the pin, not Io Sky, in a simple roll-up. She got rolled up and pinned. So for all of you Rhea Hogan children out there, show me clips of matches that Hogan got beat by a fucking roll-up, a goddamn schoolboy in the middle. Not something that really happens to him. So people who put Hogan at the end of a wrestler's name weren't alive anywhere near Hogan's career at all. They don't know what they're talking about. So Rhea Hogan got pinned here and lost, and Naomi steals a victory and retains, and that's exactly what I thought should happen. Now, I've said for the past, 20 podcasts that we've got Crown Jewel coming up in Perth in October. The next pay-per-view on the schedule is Clash in Paris, of which Stephanie Vicaire is getting a championship match. She's going to be facing Naomi. So it's possible that Stephanie Vicaire could win the title, but I kind of hope she doesn't. I'm hoping that Naomi retains, and whatever they do with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, two things have to happen. Rhea Ripley needs to beat Io Sky finally, and Rhea Ripley needs to win the championship sometime before the end of the year, in my opinion. So you've got Perth, Crown Jewel coming up in October. That's the pay-per-view after Clash in Paris. I think it would be perfect for Rhea Ripley to beat Naomi in the main event of that pay-per-view and win the championship in front of her home country, and then carry the title into next year's WrestleMania, where she loses it to the winner of the Royal Rumble, who I believe should be Stephanie Vicaire. Now, Stephanie also has a title match in Paris at the end of the month. She could beat Naomi and win, and then you do Stephanie and Rhea Ripley in Perth, Crown Jewel, but you got to save a match like that. That's got to be like a WrestleMania type of thing. So maybe what we didn't get accomplished with Rhea and Bianca, we can get accomplished with Rhea and Stephanie, at some point. So Naomi winning here was all part of that puzzle, and she did. I'm glad she retained. It is not time to take that belt off of her yet, and I think the right woman won. Now, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky still have to continue their issues, so I feel like, even without a belt on the line, they could just have another match, and you can book it in a big setting, pay-per-view, whatever, no title on the line, and Rhea Ripley finally gets that monkey off her back. Or you find a way to put the belt back on Io Sky, and then Ripley beats her for it. But I don't know how you get there in that scenario. I feel like it would be better if you just have Ripley win the title at Crown Jewel and then perhaps defend against Io Sky, who she's never defeated, and that's when she finally beats her to successfully retain the championship. Maybe at Survivor Series, unless, how many War Games do we get? Do we get a men's and a women's or just a men's? So you could just do that at Survivor Series, Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the championship, and just do it there. And then Ripley finally gets the win and retains, big title victory, and then she goes into the Rumble for another title match and retains, and then you put Ripley and Stephanie Vaquer on that collision course and don't fuck it up this time. That's what I would do there. Second match was the wild TLC match for the WWE Tag Team titles. This was the Wyatt Six defending against DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Street Profits, and Fraxium and Phoenix and Andrade, right? They had the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys at ringside for this. And, of course, they are going to be in a ladder match, I think, right, at Bound for Glory in October for TNA. And it was hilarious when they were Alicia Taylor was introducing them, I should say. 2 out of the 3 teams. Well, she said this is the 25th anniversary of the TLC match, the first ever TLC match at SummerSlam 2000 in Raleigh. I was there for that show. I've talked about it a lot. It was a very cool match to see in person and up close. So 25 years later, we have the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys out there. And she says 2 out of the 3 teams that were present at the first ever TLC match was here. But she didn't say who the third team was, and she didn't say who the winners were either. Both of those gentlemen are in some other wrestling company, and I forget the name of it. But it's out there somewhere. So Edge and Christian were not there. Dudleys and Hardys were. And now we have 6 teams, which means 12 men, 6 big entrances to do. And in my predictions, I predicted the Wyatt Six to retain for a couple of reasons. Number one is that they just won the titles recently. So if they just dropped them back here, why were they champions to begin with? What was the point of a 7-week run or however long they've held the belts? Same with Naomi, same concept there. Plus, when in the predictions video, I said, what if the entire Wyatt Six is out there on the stage? You got Uncle Howdy out there in the rocking chair, and you got Sister What's-Her-Tits, and then you got Rowan, and everybody's out there. What are they going to do, just stand there with thumbs up their asses? There's no rules in this thing. The Wyatt Six should be at a huge advantage because there's 6 of them. Or 5 of them. But there's a lot of them, is the point. And if they don't get involved, I said that on Thursday, if they don't get involved and they just sit there and watch their team lose, that makes no sense to me. And, of course, everybody got involved. Abby the Witch and Uncle Howdy and Eric Rowan, they were all in there. To give their team the advantage. Now, a couple things I noticed. I didn't write down all the spots, obviously, because we were doing the watch-along. But one thing that I noticed is when they were setting up the tables on the outside of the ring near the entranceway to stack the 4 tables to redo the spot that we've seen, I think, in both TLC matches, the one at SummerSlam in 2000 and also the big one at WrestleMania 17 where they came down. So they're basically recreating that spot. But if you look closely to these Slim Jim tables, there are pre-cut holes kind of drilled in the face of the table where the table legs of the table that you're stacking on top of it are supposed to go. So I'm all for safety, It's just like when the Hell in the Cell has the footholes to climb up, it's fine. But it was so noticeable. I'm like, wait a second. That, it's like they're anticipating. I mean, we know how wrestling works, but... And I'm not going to complain about it's got to be more realistic. I'm not that fan. But seeing those holes there to where you kind of just like attach the legs. Hey, if it keeps the talent safe, eliminates a risk of the table leg sliding out and somebody bumping badly. You don't want to risk a concussion, injury, broken neck, broken arm, whatever. For me to sit here and complain about WWE taking safety precautions, that's fine. But I don't want to hear anything about the other company. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So everything is, it's one of the biggest reasons why I hated the big red Hell in the Cell, because everything they do just looks like an inflated version of their toys. And I would imagine, I don't collect action figures anymore because I'm fucking 47. But if I did, and I bought little tables, they probably come with little footings for the other legs to go if you want to stack this shit and do a big bump in your bedroom or something. I don't know, but just a little lame. So there's holes, pre-cut holes in the tables now for these big bumps, but those were the only tables. It was only those two. The rest of the tables didn't have them, so they went through the trouble of cutting the holes, specifically placing the tables in a certain spot just to do the spot. And the problem with 25 years, a quarter century now of TLC matches is that you're just kind of running out of ideas. And now you're redoing and rehashing spots that we've seen over and over and over and over again. And I loved the effort. This was a really, really, really fun match. And we had some cool things going down and whatnot, but it was a fairly typical TLC match. All of these teams are incredibly good. SmackDown has got a terrific tag team division, and they're basically all in this match. And all of these teams can do spectacular things. So going in, I already knew that we would see some crazy bumps, some high flying, all of the things we usually see in a TLC match or even a Money in the Bank match, or a standard ladder match, because now ladder matches, every ladder match, just a regular ass ladder match has 45 ladders in it. So we were going to see a lot of the same stuff we always see, and we did. Bumps were good. Action was exciting. The Spanish fly off the top with Dawkins and Axiom was kind of gave me a heart attack a little bit. I loved Ciampa hanging from upside down on the belt apparatus there, and then the ladder gets taken away, another spot that we've seen a bunch of times. They were about to recreate the Edge spear onto Jeff Hardy before that, but Nathan Frazier came off for the spear, and that's when Ciampa lifted up his legs. Frazier moves, and then Ciampa's hanging upside down from the belt thing. So that was kind of cool. And I liked a lot of what I saw, but, at the end of the day, it wasn't super spectacular. But we had the Wyatt Six getting involved, and they ultimately helped Loomis and Gacy retain the championships, because they were kind of out of commission for quite a while when all of the other teams were scaling up to the top. They were all taking big bumps off the ladder, and I was wondering, where they were. I also liked that guys like Frazier were really scurrying up the ladder fast. They weren't doing the typical go, 2 fucking miles an hour up the ladder rungs. So when Gacy and Loomis were absent for so long, I was like, they're going to come right in the end, and they're going to steal the championships, and that's what they did. And the Wyatt Six retained. I feel like that was the right call, and the match was good. The match was exciting, but I don't think it exceeded any expectations that I had for it. It was pretty much right in line what I was expecting those guys to be able to do, because they're all awesome. So it's not a knock. It meeting my expectations just means I had high expectations for it. That's all. So it did, and good job to everyone. Hopefully, when we read the injury reports, nobody is dinged up too badly, because we did see some bumps here, and we saw some close calls, specifically that Spanish fly, Dawkins taking one of all people. Yikes. So good stuff. After that, it was the no count out, no disqualification match for the Intercontinental Championship. Becky Lynch defending against Lyra Valkyria. Becky, as rumored, did come out to some new music. I'm going to let you guys judge. I couldn't make heads or tails if it was good or bad. I don't know. I don't know the name of the band who sings it. I don't think Def Rebel did it, but there was some speaking at the beginning, and Def Rebel does love to do that. So it was Becky said something about the man. The man is here, and then it went into her song. So I thought I had heard a clip of it on social media last night, and I was like, that sounds completely uninspiring. And then I read the comments underneath. It was like, oh, this is fire. So maybe my definition of fire is different whenever somebody else's definition of fire is. You guys know better than me. Is Becky Lynch's new theme, in your opinion, based on what you've heard on night one of that, is it good or does it suck? Let me know, and I'm going to take y'all's word for it, because I suppose I could just replay it over and over again here later in my room when I dance tonight with the camera off. You guys don't ever see that. I could judge it then, but I don't want to. I don't want to listen to it over and over. You guys do that. You let me know what you think of Becky's new theme. And this one went largely the way I thought it would too. I thought it was a good match. We had crowbars, very long, big crowbar. We had multiple kendo sticks. Kendo sticks were getting destroyed. We had extremely unique use of the steel chair by Becky Lynch. It's hard to describe because I'm going by memory, but kind of near the end of the match there, she had, you know how they Pillman your leg or Pillman your head these days, but she had Lyra's whole entire body inside the chair. And then she's taking it and swinging it and slamming her into shit, you know? And it was really kind of convincing. And I'm like, I've never really seen the chair used in that way. We've seen it like put on the head and rammed into the ring post. We've seen all those things. But there was just something different to what Becky was doing that I really liked and I found enjoyable. And they were beating the hell out of each other. This was a really fun match. They were taking some bumps. Both women I thought were working hard. And I was just waiting for Bayley to come out. You know, my belief was that Bayley, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally or intentionally, was going to cost Lyra Valkyria the championship. So Bayley kind of comes out near the end. Becky, like I said, has got Lyra in that chair, and she's slamming her all in hell and gone. And she's got her down now, and Lyra's still inside the chair. And I think Becky gets the crowbar, right? And Becky had enough strength to lift Devon Storm completely over her head. I was impressed. Comes down, is about to come down with the crowbar and just mash Lyra to bits, and Bayley shows up from behind. She came through the crowd somewhere, takes it away from her. She gets in Becky's face, and then Becky tells her, hit Lyra. So I was kind of thinking Bayley would turn heel here. Becky gives Bayley the crowbar and tells her to part Lyra's hair with it and blast her and waffle her and all the other hedonisms you can think of. And Bayley's thinking about it. She's about to do it, but then she's like, no, she decides to brawl with Becky instead. You took everything from me. You attacked me. The two are brawling. Bayley gets knocked over the barricade. And that's when Lyra comes back to life, comes in, I think with like a cutter or something like that, onto Becky through the table, but on the outside of the ring. But then they wind up getting in the ring, or nearly getting in the ring. And I was like, Bayley is going to resurface here. And I still feel like Bayley is going to be the one to cost Lyra. And, of course, she jumps up on the apron. I think she goes to punch Becky. She hits Lyra by mistake. Becky is able to roll her up, or whatever the finish was, and retain the Intercontinental Championship, beating Lyra with some unintentional help from Bayley, which is pretty much exactly how I thought the match was going to wind up going. And I'm glad that Becky Lynch retained. They had the stupid stipulation that if Becky wins, Lyra can never challenge for the Intercontinental Championship as long as Becky is the champion. Oh, no. You know, come on. I think you can wait that out. It's not that big of a deal. If you really wanted to make it important, you should say you can never challenge for it ever. The way Cody kind of shot himself in the foot in AEW. So Lyra will have to wait until perhaps Bayley beats Becky for the Intercontinental Championship, and then maybe Lyra gets it back from Bayley. And that whole storyline will then have Bayley and Becky both kind of putting over Lyra, all within the course of one big, long program. I wouldn't hate that. A lot of people thought, I thought they should have elevated Lyra tonight. I'm like, you just got to see bigger picture instead of just the picture right in fucking front of you. And I think if this leads to the three of them kind of passing that IC title around a little bit, with it culminating with Lyra standing tall with it at the end of it, that might be what the point of all of this is. You got two veterans, you got the new breed, Bayley and Becky both doing what they can to make Lyra one of the top players for years to come. That's the whole point of this, I think. So that's the way I would have it end. I'd then pass the title over to Bayley. Now the stipulation is out the window because Bayley is champion, not Becky. And then at some point, maybe even at WrestleMania, you put the title back on Lyra. And then after that, going into 2027, late 2026, that's when you start putting Lyra towards world championship glory. That's my thoughts on that. So we will see. Anyway, Becky Lynch does retain. She debuted some new music, and she is still our Intercontinental Champion. After that, it was the steel cage match for the U.S. title. Solo Sikoa defending against Jacob Fatu. Now, I had a feeling that we were obviously going to see a lot of interference because much like the TLC match, what the hell is stopping the MFTs from being all up in this match, cage match or not? They're definitely going to be out there for support and can be. And if they can find their way into the cage, that's all legal too. So I was wondering if maybe we could get a Zilla Fatu debut or some other Samoan lurking in the shadows shows up and costs Jacob Fatu the match. I wasn't sure if it was only going to be the current MFTs, but it did turn out to be that, and I did predict Solo Sikoa to retain because I feel like right now, at least as we're where we stand with everything, that the U.S. title benefits Solo Sikoa more than it does Jacob Fatu. You know, Solo Sikoa just won it not long ago. What was the point of him winning it if Jacob just wins it back? That would mean Jacob Fatu would win the U.S. title at WrestleMania and at SummerSlam. Why? You know, I feel like Solo Sikoa's got to retain here. That's the best thing to do, but you're going to protect Jacob Fatu in the process. So how are you going to do that? Well, we found out. After what was a pretty decent cage match, but nothing special, it was the MFTs who all showed up. Fatu was fighting them all off, the Mateos and the Tongaloas and the Talatongas. And in the end, it turned out to be Jacob. I think he's up on near the top rope. And we were wondering when we were going to get a big top of the cage moonsault from Jacob. We figured we would see that in this match, but we didn't. Talatonga showed up with some handcuffs and handcuffed Jacob right to the top of the cage. And then as Solo was trying to escape, Jacob breaks the chains off the handcuffs and is able to stop Solo Sikoa. But then I think it was Talatonga back in on the other side, comes in and kicks the door right into Jacob's head and helps pull out Solo Sikoa to retain the U.S. title. So it was just the current MFTs. That's all it took. It was just 5-on-1. That's all. They got the job done against Jacob. Jimmy Uso was also out there, it should be noted. And I guess they were able to isolate, was it Tonga Loa and JC Mateo in the ring, and Uso locked them in there, and Jacob executed a top rope moonsault to the two of them when they were standing up. It didn't look great. They could have done a better camera angle, but we did get the top rope moonsault. It just came after the fact and after the match. And Solo Sikoa does retain and hangs on to the United States Championship. And now it's time for our 5th championship match in a row. Dominic Mysterio defending his Intercontinental Championship against AJ Styles. I really liked this. Dominic coming out, his entrance, he's like in a lucha mask. And then it's time for AJ Styles' entrance. And he comes out in full Eddie Guerrero cosplay. He's got the low rider. He comes out with the Latino Heat shirt, which I think said like Styles Heat or something like that. He's got the Eddie trunks. He's got Eddie everything. And this was awesome. It was really cool to see him dressed that way. So then we get the match. And I'm wondering, you know, if Judgment Day, you know, we haven't seen Balor and Big Head all fucking weekend. So if they show up here and help Dominic out, I could see that happening because we've seen a lot of backstage segments with Dom and AJ stalking him and all of that stuff. So I felt like the same reason for the same reason I've been talking about other matches similarly, that this might be a program, not just like a one and done. So if it's program, Dominic should win here, and then you like book a stip for Paris, and AJ wins there. But I thought Dominic would require a little bit more help than what he had. So even though AJ came out as Eddie, it was Dominic who was able to be more like his real, actual shoot biological father, Eduardo Guerrero, and defeat AJ Styles. Now, Dominic mistimed an early Eddieism when he had the steel chair. Referee's back is turned. He makes a noise with it, tosses it to Dominic because the referee tosses it to AJ because the referee is busy messing with the turnbuckle pad that he took off. But the referee is not done fixing it yet. So AJ is standing there with the chair in his hand. So then he puts it around his own head and falls down. Referee turns around and sees AJ with the chair. So that was pretty fun. But in the end, it was kind of a rehash of WrestleMania 20. Dominic Mysterio unzips his boot as AJ is going for an ankle lock or something on him, and he pulls off Dominic's boot which allows Dominic to get out of the hold. Dominic then takes the boot and wallops AJ Styles right in the face with it, and then hits him with what? The frog splash, and pins him and gets the win. So he cheated. He used a foreign object. Well, not even really a foreign object, because it was just his own boot. But he took his own boot off, and that's all it took. So it wasn't a chair, wasn't a lead pipe, wasn't an exposed buckle. It was a relatively simple, Eddie Guerrero-inspired trick to get the job done here with the boot. And since it didn't require any more than that, I'm wondering if we are going to get that rematch. Is there really a point to AJ winning the Intercontinental title at this point, since he's so close to hanging things up? I love the idea of AJ winning the IC title and defending against Cena, but that's out the door. Cena's going to be doing something with Brock. So maybe you book this again. Maybe AJ says, hey, man, you use your boot, man. You can't use your boot on me. So how about we book a new match like in Paris? That's where they have French fries. We'll book a new match in French fry land, and it'll be no boots allowed. We can't do any boots, and don't go talk to the gay community about this either, And I'm not saying I'm a flat earther, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there are things out there, all right? I'm just saying that there are things out there. That's all. So maybe we just do like a flat earth stipulation at Clash in Paris. That way you can't cheat and take your boots off. Maybe AJ has some sort of a promo like that on Monday Night Raw, and we get another match. But either way, we had Dominic 20 years after his own custody was on the line, and Rey Mysterio stealing him away from his actual biological father, which breaks my heart that he did that to this day. And Dominic's really been wrestling with that. That's why Dominic has the behavioral problems that he has, because his shitty foster parents who stole him right out of the bosom of his own family. The nerve of Ray and Angie to even do that. It's a wonder that Dominic didn't wind up in prison, but instead he's successful. The best revenge is success. Go out there and show your parents, I'm going to be better than you. All the abuse, Dominic, he had to leave his room. They didn't even give him his own bathroom in his room. He had to go out of the hallway and across the hall to use the bathroom, instead of having one, right there, in his giant bedroom. It was abuse, borderlines on abuse. He has every right to be pissed. But 20 years after that match, he comes now and successfully defends the Intercontinental title, and does so by using a trick that his father taught him. That is the definition of heartwarming. Good for you, Dominic Mysterio. Still your Intercontinental champion. Dominic right now is my early pick to win the 2026 Money in the Bank. I absolutely think Dominic should win that next year. Go Dom. And that left us with the main event. John Cena, who now apparently is a babyface all of a sudden. He's defending against Cody Rhodes in a street fight. We saw the promo on Friday. Him and Cody had a nice little moment. John Cena said that he's back to being a good guy again. Most people were calling bullshit on that. That's what I was doing. I thought the whole point was for John Cena to try to trick Cody, but Cody not going to fall for it this time. That whole thing. Cody's been talking about, he's not going to flinch and whatnot. So I thought that's what all of this was about. And we would see Cena revert back to his heel ways near the end to try to win, but Cody would see it coming. Cody would know what he's up to and be able to stop him and win the title. And then throughout the course of the match, you were wondering what they were building towards here, because the longer the match was going on, the more it was feeling like, they're trying to have an actual match here. John Cena is wrestling this match as he would a babyface. Cody was working a little bit as a heel at times. He was hearing a lot of boos from the audience too. Cody was. And I wonder if the promo on Friday was done on purpose. This is MetLife. This is a New York, New Jersey crowd. They're likely to boo Cody anyway. So if we get them on Cena's side kind of at the last minute, they can kind of manufacture the crowd response that they want. They might want a little bit more of a mixed crowd. Otherwise, I don't know why they would have done that on Friday night. So I think some of the boos that Cody got, they might have wanted. This might be a future justification for a heel turn. One day when they show that WWE, Unreal Season 3 episode or whatever, where, they will reference SummerSlam 2025. He was hearing the boos. that's when we realized that maybe we should think about going in another creative direction. You know, when you manufacture those boos, you assholes. So something like that is what I'm wondering there. But Cody was hearing a lot of boos, and him and Cena went out there and had a 20 times better match than they did at WrestleMania 41. Every single fucking thing about this was better. And even though Triple H and WWE constantly give themselves self-blowjobs and tickle their own buttholes and balls every damn chance they get, they know how bad that main event sucked. I haven't seen the Unreal episode on the creative yet, but I know they're acting like they're fucking geniuses, but they're not. And that was horrible and will go down as one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. And now you got that Travis Scott forever connected to that epic and history-changing heel turn of John Cena, and he's stuck right there front and center of a WrestleMania main event. I felt like this was WWE's subtle way of trying to make up for that in a way. And they did, because Cena and Cody's way, not WWE's way, Cena and Cody's way of making up for that. And they did. They definitely did. This was a really good match. For Cena's retirement run here, his 2025 run, tell me if you disagree in the chat. This is his best match of the run. Am I wrong? I definitely feel like it is. And I was happy to see that. I'm glad they didn't stink it out again. I'm glad they didn't have the same thing happen to them that would happen at WrestleMania 41. I'm glad WWE didn't have some stupid trick up their sleeve with a 20-minute Travis Scott entrance, only to end in the most anticlimactic way possible. And the longer the match was going, made me think that there might not be anything extra at the end. Because at this point, based on how these guys are fighting each other, I want to see a winner here. And I think that's the point, is for John Cena and Cody Rhodes to have a war and for Cody Rhodes to win. The only way John Cena is going to be able to beat Cody Rhodes is if he has a massive trick up his sleeve, if you do have The Rock coming out. But we heard him on Friday, kind of vaguely address that for the first time since it happened. So outside of The Rock showing up, what was Cena going to do to get this match done or to get this match won? He went in there mano a mano, knowing he probably would lose, and he wound up losing. But not by a lack of effort. He kicked out of what? The one trifecta crossroads, kicked out of one of those, hit Cody with every damn AA possible, including an avalanche AA, and Cody kicked out. They detached the bottom rope, kind of went for a Royal Rumble 2007 type of thing with Umaga, with the rope wrapped around the neck and the STFU and all of that stuff was really, really good. Nice call back there. So they hit us with everything but the kitchen sink, and I think really made good on that shitty WrestleMania match that they had. This was so much better. And John Cena, props to him for taking the bumps he was taking. He's so close. He has 9 dates left, something like that. He's so close to the end, taking bumps like that. Through tables, chair shots, top rope avalanche, superplexes, table bumps, everything. They were doing everything. And it was great. It was a really, really good match between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. In the end, Cody has Cena down one final time after they both kicked out of each other's shit. And now Cody goes and gets the belt. And John Cena is laid out, and Cody kind of gives him, one of these. I forget, did he hit him with the belt or did John Cena block it and hit him with it? Whatever it was, Cody delivered one final blow to John Cena and then basically just waited for him to get up and hit him with that final crossroads. And that was it. 1, 2, 3. And Cody, once again, for the second time now, is the WWE Undisputed Champion. John Cena had a WrestleMania to SummerSlam run. And perhaps part of the reason behind Cena's promo on Friday is something that we've mentioned before. And that is when John Cena loses that championship and it kind of hits the fans that we just saw John Cena in his final championship match losing his final championship on this big stage. This is the last time we're going to get kind of like a moment this big with him. We've watched him lose the title for the last time. And I said when that hits the fans, that might be kind of a special moment. Maybe WWE on Friday was giving everybody a little push with that promo, making it a little bit easier for them to have that moment with Cena. Because after Cody beat him, referee raised his hand, and Cody left the ring. allowing Cena to be in there by himself and get that goodbye from the fans, the standing ovation, have that moment with them. So it's at that point that I'm getting the stream ready here, or the review ready. I'm updating the thumbnail on here, and I'm just watching, much like last night when Punk was celebrating. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And I'm wondering if The Rock is going to come out and maybe punish John Cena for losing and letting him down. What is going to happen? Cena's in the ring, and then, or however the song goes, and out comes Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar returns, comes to the stage, walks to the ring, very reminiscent of what happened after WrestleMania 28 when Brock Lesnar returned that night. After all those years, did something very similar. Came down to the ring, walked around the ring, stalked John Cena as Cena watched him, and then got in there, F5'd him, and that was it. I think it was the week after they had the bloody face brawl, right? Or it might have been that night. I don't remember. But I feel like he got the best of Cena, didn't he? And so he comes out here, same thing, hops in the ring, and F5s John Cena. Now, I was at SummerSlam 2021, and that was Roman Reigns and John Cena in the main event. That was at Allegiant Stadium. And after the match, Brock Lesnar came out and F5 John Cena. Came out to confront Roman, but I think after the pay-per-view went off the air, I don't know if it was off the air or not. I've never watched that pay-per-view back, to be honest. I just remember Brock Lesnar hitting John Cena with an F5. And I said that night to Elizabeth, I said, Brock Lesnar hitting an F5 on John Cena in 2021 is a wild sentence. And here it just happened again in 2025. That is crazy. So now what does this mean? John Cena versus Brock Lesnar? Are they going to book that for Clash in Paris? Might be kind of smart, because WWE knows that this isn't going to go over swimmingly with everybody. The pussies backed out of doing press conferences, and now we know why. Because difficult questions are hard. Honesty is hard. Triple H is so unbelievably bad at answering even the slightest, toughest questions. Which what we do. I like to think about the future. Shut the fuck up. Oh, my God. And so now no more pressers, so they don't have to field any questions from anybody about Brock Lesnar, about what he's implemented in the Janelle Grant lawsuit, and those nasty details that you would think WWE would want to stay far, far, far away from. But, maybe the strategy is to try to appeal to as much as the MAGA audience as possible, because they don't give a shit about stuff like this. They defend Vince McMahon. They think sex trafficking and sex abuse and those things are qualities in someone. It doesn't shy them away from it. They embrace it, and I think maybe WWE's like, we got so many nasty things attached to Vince and our company and Brock and all of this. If we appeal to the right audience, they're not going to care. They don't care. So maybe that's why. I have no idea. But I would imagine that there's probably a lot of people not too thrilled that Brock Lesnar is back. And there's going to be some criticisms from the wrestling world, fans, other pro wrestlers, wrestling journalists, whatever. There's podcasters. There's going to be a lot to say about it. There's going to be ups and downs. I don't like the fact that Brock was implemented there, because Brock was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. The dude is a beast. And I've always liked Brock Lesnar. Sometimes the Roman Reigns matches were getting a little bit stale. And even though he was there, a lot of what he was doing wasn't that interesting. The Cain Velasquez shit and random things that he was doing here and there. But Brock is still just a big name. And I don't know how many more years he really has in him. I even thought if he did come back, it would only have to be for one, final more run. Maybe he comes back and wraps things up too. We had Goldberg wrapping it up here in July. Maybe Cena wraps it up in December. Maybe Brock wraps it up at WrestleMania. Maybe Brock's coming back in to finish up business too. Are we going to read that he has signed a brand new deal with the WWE? Are we going to read that he's back in the company under another 3-year agreement? Or is he coming back in to finish whatever dates was remaining on his contract before he left? If he had any, I don't know. I don't even know. No idea. No fucking clue. Don't ask me. Ask Sean or one of them guys. They'll tell you. But I have no idea what that means. So I hope it doesn't mean he signed some new long-term multi-year deal. It probably does. It would be nice if he was just coming back in just to put over Cena or something, But I don't know. I don't know. But either way, Brock Lesnar is back, and he was the final image we saw at SummerSlam this year. And that's kind of disappointing given how good I thought that main event was between Cena and Cody. And in night 2, I did go perfect. Got every single match right in my predictions here. But I didn't have that Brock thing picked out at all. So Brock is back. Maybe this will lead to a Brock Lesnar and Gunther match now. We were supposed to get it, right? Maybe Brock and... I mean, if Brock is back and he does nothing but jobs, then I got no problem with it. But... yeah, good point, Daniel. Things are still cloudy and yucky. You should wait another year. You know, maybe more time for this to blow over, you know. But, you know, either way, that's... I would wait until this lawsuit shit is settled because more things are going to come out. But I'm not really that surprised. Can't sit here and just act all shocked about this. This is right in line with what WWE would do. I always said I personally wouldn't bring Brock back whenever asked about him. But I've always said, I could totally see WWE doing it. They don't give a fuck. You know, and all the problems Hulk Hogan had, you know, with all that stuff, they wound up bringing him back. There are some people that they have cut ties with and then reattached those ties. I don't even think they've booted Sonny out of the Hall of Fame yet. Homegirl killed someone. So, yeah, a little dirty, a little murky and whatnot. But as my mom would say, it is what it is. Boy, she found a phrase she liked and she latched onto that. My God. I think she says it every time I talk to her. Love you, Mom. There we go. I'm just checking something real quick. All right, we good. We good. All right, so, yeah, SummerSlam, night 1, night 2 in the books. Give me your overall grade. What do you guys think of both of the nights? I think I preferred last night's surprise over this night's surprise, but we basically got a surprise. We got a surprise on each show, night 1 and night 2. Big thing that happens at the end. I don't know if that's going to be the plan now for the Rumbles and the Manias. You always have to do something like this. I don't know if WWE is going to now feel obligated that every single pay-per-view main event title match needs to have something happen at the end of it when it's over, and we're not going to get somebody just having a match and winning, you know, which is the way I thought it might go. I'm like, you know, it might just be Cody winning, might just beat Cena and he celebrates. Cena gets the moment with the crowd and the show goes off the air. I would have actually preferred that over what we got tonight. For sure. The Juliet, appreciate the 5. This would be the perfect time for Tony Khan to encourage people to sell any WWE tickets they have and come to his cheaper shows. There you go. There you go. Cody should have turned. Not yet. Autumn Skies. I disagree. A lot of people had the Cody heel turn and stuff. It's going to happen, but it's not going to happen here. This wasn't the time. I think Cody wants to part ways with Cena and have Cena retire while the two of them have a mutual respect. And I think Cody wants Cena gone before Cody starts that heel turn. That's my belief. That's the way I think Cody thinks, and that's how I think Cody wants it. So he's turning heel, and I think he'll be heel within the next 365 days, but I did not think that tonight would have been the time to do that. It's honestly too early. They want some of these boos to continue because when the heel turn happens, they can call back to these moments and stuff. So I wasn't seeing it. Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, Denny down bad. You got to remember why it didn't happen. You know, it was all set to. They're setting it up. So gross. Oh, is that the crowd was calling Cody Homelander? Were they chanting that at him? That's pretty funny. I like that. Juliet, I didn't get that 5 from you earlier. I'm just seeing it now. Anything I saw about Brock being back will get censored in this super chat by YouTube. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What if they bring Vince McMahon back out there? Yikes. They might. We might see Vince. We might see Vince, everyone. Oh, my God. Well, that is a wrap, guys, on the weekend. It was a lot of fun. 2 nights of SummerSlam. We were here to watch and review them both. And now that it's all done, we can kind of process it. And we will elaborate more tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're going to be back because Monday Night Raw should be pretty interesting. So tomorrow night after Raw, we'll be back up here for a review. And I will give some more thoughts on the weekend, more properly prepared since we kind of just do these on the fly after the watch along. So tomorrow night after Raw will be a little bit more of a kind of a podcast style review where we will elaborate on the results of SummerSlam, where we're going forward, what Brock Lesnar's return means, what Cody is doing. I'm guessing Brock is going to be on SmackDown unless they bring him out on Raw. But we already have a new champion over there, Seth Rollins. I don't know if he's going to necessarily share the stage with Cody or John Cena for that matter. So I'm not even sure if Cena's advertised for tomorrow. But we're going to see him most likely on Friday or at least later on this month. And we'll have to see what Cody and Cena or what Brock and Cena or what Brock and Cody wind up doing. I think it might be a situation of Cody and Cena maybe fighting side by side against Brock and another opponent, perhaps. Don't really know, but we will find out this week. So hang tight. We will be back again tomorrow night after Monday Night Raw to talk more about this situation and this ever-evolving situation now that Brock Lesnar is back. Don't really know what to make of it. Wall Rads, Brock is unpredictable. He's awesome. Things are heating up. Give Punk a break. Bring Brock. Life is good. I don't think Punk's going to get a break. He's going to be on TV on Monday. Who's going to get a break is Gunther. Gunther's going to be getting that break, I believe. Right on. I'm just reading some of your thoughts here. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to kick back and have some dinner and process this. Might put up a YouTube short of some of my reactions, so stay tuned for that later on. And join us tomorrow night for our Monday Night Raw review. Should be interesting with Punk and Rollins and everything going on there. And I will post a link for tomorrow's show, either very late tonight, once WWE advertises something, or early tomorrow. So we will be back at it again tomorrow night. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy all the rest of the YouTube reviews you guys are going to check out tonight. And I'll be catching you tomorrow night for the Raw review. Take care. Peace.